Hi, my name is Lindsay Forkel. I'm a Christian author, and I have 2 young adult books and 2 kids books out right now, and this is what it means to me to be a Christian author. So when you're a Christian author, not only do you keep in mind Christian aspects as far as like personality qualities, as far as how you want the message of your story to go, but also you can add God in, you can add likenesses of God, and different things like that, and I'm going to explain that to you. So when you are picking out books and you want them to be Christian, or if they say they're Christian, these are kind of the standards that you can hold them to, and some ways that you can categorize them. As far as Christian kids books, it's pretty straightforward. They'll have a message that isn't necessarily just good attributes, but it relates those to God. So whether it's showing kindness, being loving, loving your neighbor, not doing certain things, whatever it may be, it points all of that back to God, the Bible, and that is where the standard for that comes. If it's talking about moral goodness and moral, when it comes to kids' books, there's kind of a couple ways you can categorize it, whereas it's a literal Bible story, or it's talking about moral good and bad situations and how kids can get through them. But at the end of the day, it points to God and it points to the Bible. And those are Christian kids' books. Now, moving more into like teen books, that's whenever you hit like you can have dystopian, you can have fantasy, you can have all these different things, and they can be allegorically Christian, or they can be flat out, the character has a come to Christ moment, or they are a Christian throughout it. So what that looks like, if it's allegorically Christian, it can be like Chronicles of Narnia. Now, I relate some of my books to being allegorically Christian because it tells a story, it has a message that points to God, but it doesn't necessarily say God, it might not say Jesus, but it has a story that, say if you took something out of the Bible, you rewrote it and made like a reimagining of it, and then put it out as a new fantasy book that is allegorically Christian. So it has a that has personhood of God, but is not God and doesn't refer to them as God specifically, if that makes any sense. And so there's certain books that I've read that are like this, where it will be like Chronicles of Narnia, where it has like Aslan is Jesus, and so it talks about different things of Jesus, and it might not say flat out Aslan is God, but it shows how it's his story. And so there's that, and then there's also ones that I've seen where it's a character ends up coming to Christ, they end up giving their life to Jesus, or they're Christian from the beginning and then throughout. And those can be put into teen, middle grade, and then also moving into like a young adult book. Those, standards still relate. Now, the point of Christian books, in my opinion, is to lead people to God. Just like Christian music, just like anything else. And it's not trying to mimic the, everything of regular fiction books or regular Christian books or non-Christian books. But it's really just making it so then, okay, I like reading books. I truly do. And sometimes I want just a clean book. It doesn't necessarily have to be Christian. If the author is Christian, that's awesome. But for me, morally, it's all about, okay, does this fit within my standards? Do I have to, bring myself down to read this book? And I think that's truly a question that I have to ask myself sometimes, because there will be a book, and yes, I can mark out every cuss word, every scene that doesn't fit in with my liking. I can skip through those. Sure, of course I can do that. But what am I giving up? What part of the storyline am I giving up to fit to my standards? Is it worth the work? And a lot of times it's not. And it's also not worth it to have that happen to you spiritually, because everything you read, everything you consume as a person is going to affect you spiritually. And so whether you're writing or reading Christian or non-Christian fiction, it truly just boils down to, how is this helping you spiritually? Is this a way for you to grow like Christ? Is this a way for you to relate to someone in a book? Or is this going to, bring you down spiritually? Is it going to give you a harder time? Is this going to put you into old sinful ways? Because I really, it's not the goal of writing to put you down and to make you feel bad. Because if it makes you feel bad, you shouldn't read it. I always say there shouldn't be shame in what you're reading. And especially as Christians, this is true because there's so many books, and I'll call them out. Fourth Wing, ACOTAR, all of these new and up-and-coming books that have spice and smut and foul language in it, that is not beneficial to a Christian. It just isn't. Just because you can read or watch or say something and you don't think it's affecting you spiritually, doesn't mean that it isn't. And at the end of the day, would you rather sacrifice one book or one series and then get something that's cleaner, or just read it just because you like it? Because I really think that it's just, trying to find the comfortability of it. Are you comfortable in what you're reading? Because I know that if I were to follow God, Monday through Sunday, and then come home after work on some days, it's been a hard day and I just want to sink into a book, I don't think that finding one that doesn't follow God, I feel like reading one that, isn't going to help me spiritually would help me to calm down from the day. I think I would just feel worse at the end of the day. And is that going to affect what I do tomorrow? And so really, what you read should affect or reflect what you believe. Whether it's for your kids, your teens, you as an adult, it really does affect you spiritually. And so I hope that you're able to find Christian books. I've written a couple and I'll link those below. But also check out so many Christian and clean books. There's so many out there. Usually for me, whenever I'm searching for books, I know that this sounds awful because I'm an indie author, but I'll look for Thomas Nelson on the bottom of, whenever I'm looking at bunches and bunches of books, I'll look for Thomas Nelson. I'm like, okay, this will be good. This will be a good book. I can read it, I can enjoy it, and I don't have to worry about what's inside of it. Because, like I said, there shouldn't be shame in what you're reading, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.